Hello, guys. Well, we did it. We definitely did it. We crushed that silly Ginsler, and he has made to submit. That's right. What I'm talking about is the SEC has said they will not challenge the ETF ruling of the court, which means they will not appeal the fact that they can't actually deny an ETF on their BS reasons. Now, they can find another reason to deny the BTF, like with custody, but a lot of legal experts said that's like trying to thread the needle too thin, and they will probably get pwned in court again if they try to do that, which would make them look way, way worse than they are now. And they have said that by the end of the day, which means by midnight, that they will indeed provide some guidance for Grayscale, which does actually mean that they could accept the ETF. Now, they could try to delay it on some other grounds or other, like refilings and stuff like that. Or they could just accept it. I think the chance of them accepting an ETF is very, very high at this point. I think it's like 50% or more at this point because they said they're actually going to provide guidance tonight. But that does not mean a Bitcoin ETF is going to launch by next Monday. They're still going to have discussions on how it's actually going to roll out, and they have to like hammer out all the mechanics. And it could be a month and a half before the ETF actually rolls out. But that doesn't really matter because the market's going to react anyways. You know why? Because markets are always forward looking. As long as we know we get an ETF, the markets are actually going to go up. Now, if they accept the Grayscale ETF, that's really good because that generally means they're going to have to accept all the other ETFs as well. There's no way they're going to allow Grayscale to have the only ETF and not like BlackRock, Fidelity, and all the other members not have an ETF because that would not make any sense. And remember, Bloomberg analysts just yesterday, maybe they knew something about this, did actually say there's like a 90% chance that we're going to get an ETF by January 10th, and this could be the date. I know I'm getting kind of like, trite talking about ETFs because I've been talking about them a lot lately. We've been talking about them for 5 years now, but we've never actually gotten one. And this, we have a very, very good chance of getting one. And even if we don't get one this time, there's an almost certainty that we'll get one by the beginning of next year. If we get this ETF, 30,000, no problem, probably past 35,000 as well. We will definitely get a pump because of this ETF. I think Ginsler and the SEC has been defeated by all the legal work. They've been losing case after case, and even they got to be careful that they don't lose too many cases because it does make them look really bad and it makes them kind of look irrelevant. So I do think they will finally submit and we might actually get an ETF by the time I stream tonight, and that will be a celebration. Now, like I said, the Grayscale ETF is very different from other ETFs. It's actually a fund right now. It's not like empty like the other ETFs. So I don't know how much Bitcoin they're actually going to buy. I don't think they would actually buy that much Bitcoin themselves because they already have a lot of Bitcoin. Basically, like they're just going to convert their GBTC shares into ETF shares. And the 600K BTs that they have will just be sitting there. So like they're not, I don't think they themselves will buy a lot of Bitcoins, but that's actually not the reason why I'm actually excited about this. Because like I said, this will force the SEC to quickly, in quick succession, accept all the other ETF filings. And those ETFs will actually buy Bitcoin. Remember, the BlackRock dude actually said there's going to be $150 to $200 billion coming into Bitcoin because of the ETFs over the next 3 years. That's over $100 million a day of demand coming in for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is going to go up because of that, because $100 million of demand per day, that's a lot of upward pressure. I think that's way more than what like Bitcoin miners are actually selling per day. I know it's like 6.25 a block. I haven't really done the math, but it could definitely balance that out, and that would be a lot of big upward pressure coming in within the next 3 years. Now, this ETF acceptance was a little earlier than I thought. I'm always hoping for an ETF, but I didn't really expect one until like next March or something. It got pushed up to January, but getting one tonight would be a huge, huge bonus for the various reasons I explained. And I think it would turn sentiment pretty positive within the market. Yes, we might not get a mega bull run because the interest rates are still very, very high. And people are still going to be buying bonds instead of like Bitcoin or other risky investments. Remember, you can get a 10-year bond for at like 4.6%. And that is actually pretty sweet income. That's very, very safe income that's not going away anywhere. And like the interest rates are going to come down probably starting next year. And when they do, that 4.6% ROI is going to be locked in, and it's going to look pretty sweet for the next 9 years. So I don't expect a gigantic pump until they start taking the interest rates down next year until the halving. But this will definitely play into it because there will actually be X amount of people wanting those ETF products from Grayscale, from BlackRock, from Fidelity and so, and they don't want to buy Bitcoin directly for whatever reason they don't want to buy Bitcoin directly for, but they will feel a lot safer buying from the big names because they are trusted brands within house. Like those conspiracy theories only really are that prevalent in crypto. In the wider world, not that many people actually believe them. So people are okay with BlackRock. People are okay with Fidelity. People are okay with ARK Invest and whatever other ETF like Wisdom Tree, Franklin Templeton. They're actually okay with it. Those were like trusted brand names. And if they have a product around Bitcoin, that's going to get the Bitcoin conversation rolling. So this is very, very good news. It also signals that the SEC might have just waved the white flag on a lot of its legal cases, and they're ready to let the floodgates open because they cannot actually prevent it. I mean, they've been hiding under the facade of we're protecting American investors for a long time, but all they've been really doing is screwing American investors over with their all these cryptos or securities lawsuits and with this ETF stuff. But I think they're eventually losing all those lawsuits. And in those losses, they're going to have to relent. And this is wonderful, wonderful news for us in the cryptocurrency market. So the SEC basically being choked out of this market, we love that because I don't think any of us are fans of Gary Gensler or the SEC. If Hester Pierce was head of the SEC, that actually might be different. But Gary Gensler, nah, I think all of us would pass. Jay Clayton will pass too. I mean, all the Hinman stuff happened under Jay Clayton, so don't give him a pass. But Gary Gensler has continued all of that and even amplified it. So at this point, I mean, this is basically like the final straw that's going to hopefully break the camel's back of the SEC, and hopefully like they will actually stay out of crypto entanglements for the foreseeable future, and they will send us off by approving all those ETFs. Every analyst expects the Bitcoin ETFs to come very soon, and this could be the thing that gets the ball rolling. I mean, even if Grayscale gets accepted first, it may not actually be the one to launch first because they still have a process to actually convert their shares into Bitcoin ETFs. If they accept some of the others, I think like BlackRock and Fidelity may actually be ready to go out the door. So even if Grayscale gets the nod first, I think like all those others will get the nod like very quickly, and they actually might launch first, which is perfectly fine because as long as we get these things, Bitcoin is going up, sentiment is going up, and newer customers are definitely coming into crypto. Probably the best news in the crypto market for a while now, because we've been waiting for this like literally for 5 years. Hester Pierce has been yelling for this for 5 years, but Gary Gensler has not relented. I mean, the rejections of the Bitcoin ETF started like way back in 2018 by Jay Clayton, and Gary Gensler has just continued them. They might finally stop now as these big wigs have actually come in. I think like when BlackRock, Fidelity, etc. started filing for these ETFs, that was the beginning of the end of the fight for the SEC. It might have been their signal to like lighten up or loosen up. And they've been taking actions in these 6 months that have been different from their past actions when it comes to the Bitcoin ETF. And also like there's obviously cracks and breaks within the division itself. Hester Pierce and like one more commissioner, that's 2 out of the 5 commissioners, do not agree with the SEC's actions of denying all these ETFs. So I think internal and external pressure are both building on them, both from Congress, from investors, from big companies, and internally they're seeing cracks. And I don't think they can hold the anti-Bitcoin, anti-ETF motto together. Now I'm hoping that we'll see an Ethereum spot ETF plus other crypto spot ETFs but I don't expect that this year. I may not even expect them next year, but this is the first step that's going to happen, and it is a great step that we are taking, hopefully tonight. So we'll see what happens tonight, but we're getting that ETF sooner or later. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.